Some stories begin with power. Some begin with greatness. But this one begins with a dream. A dream so powerful it survived betrayal, slavery, lies, prisons, and kings. This is the story of a young boy who lost everything, yet rose to rule over a nation. A story that shows us that even when people forget you, even when life breaks you, God still works behind the scenes. Today, we dive into the full story of Joseph, a story of destiny, forgiveness, and restoration. So before we begin, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss more powerful Bible stories like this. Now, let's journey back to ancient Canaan, where a 17-year-old boy receives a dream that will change the world. Joseph was the 11th son of Jacob, but the first son of Rachel, Jacob's great love. Because of that, Joseph was special to his father. Jacob gave him something no other brother received: a coat. Not just any coat, a coat of many colors, a symbol of honor, a reminder that Joseph was different. But Joseph wasn't just favored, he was gifted. He had dreams, divine dreams. One night he said to his brothers, "Listen to my dream. We were tying sheaves of grain, and suddenly my sheaf rose, and your sheaves gathered around mine and bowed down." The brothers stared at him. Their jaws tightened, their hearts hardened. Another night, Joseph dreamed again. "The sun, the moon, and 11 stars bowed down to me." Even his father was surprised. "Will your mother and I and your brothers bow before you?" But deep down, Jacob wondered, could this be from God? Joseph didn't know it yet, but destiny was calling him. And whenever destiny calls, opposition rises.
Hatred grew inside Joseph's brothers like a slow-burning fire. One day, Jacob sent Joseph to check on his brothers in the fields. They saw him approaching from far away, the colorful coat shining in the sun, and they said the words that forever changed Joseph's life. "Here comes the dreamer. Let's kill him." Reuben, the eldest, hesitated. "Let's not shed blood. Throw him into that pit." Joseph arrived smiling, but he never saw it coming. They tore off his coat, the symbol of his father's love, and threw him into a dry, silent pit. Joseph cried out, but his brothers turned their back. Then Judah saw traveling merchants passing by. "Let's sell him. We gain money, and his blood won't be on our hands." Silver coins exchanged, chains bound his wrists, and the dreamer was led away. Joseph, once a beloved son, is now a slave. His brothers dipped his coat in goat blood and lied to Jacob. Jacob wept until he could no longer breathe. Meanwhile, Joseph walked toward Egypt, toward a future he could not see. Joseph was sold to Potiphar, a high-ranking officer in Pharaoh's army. Joseph was alone, heartbroken, foreign. But God was with him, and everything he touched prospered. Potiphar noticed this. Joseph was promoted again and again until he became the overseer of the entire household. But when God raises you, the enemy takes notice. Potiphar's wife began watching him. Joseph was handsome, strong, faithful. "Come lie with me," she whispered. He stepped back. "How could I do such a wicked thing and sin against God?" Day after day, she pressured him, but Joseph refused. One day, when the house was empty, she grabbed his garment. He tore himself away and ran. Her rejection turned to rage. She screamed, she lied, she accused Joseph of attacking her. Potiphar, furious and confused, threw Joseph into the king's prison. He had done nothing wrong, yet he lost everything again. But prisons don't stop God's purpose.
The prison was dark, cold, hopeless. But even there, God was with Joseph. The prison warden saw Joseph's integrity and placed him in charge of the prisoners. Time passed, and one day 2 new prisoners entered, Pharaoh's cupbearer and baker. Both had disturbing dreams. Joseph said, "Interpretations belong to God. Tell me your dreams." The cupbearer explained his. Joseph listened, then said, "Your dream means you will be restored to your position in 3 days." The baker shared his dream with hope in his eyes. Joseph sighed. "Your dream means you will be executed in 3 days." And exactly as Joseph said, it happened. Joseph told the cupbearer, "Please mention me to Pharaoh." But the cupbearer forgot. Joseph remained in prison, waiting. Days turned to months, months turned to years, but God's timing is perfect. 2 years later, Pharaoh had 2 troubling dreams. 7 fat cows were eaten by 7 thin cows. 7 healthy heads of grain swallowed by 7 withered ones. No magician could interpret them. Then the cupbearer remembered, "Pharaoh, there is a man, a Hebrew, who interprets dreams." Joseph was rushed from prison, shaved, washed, clothed in clean linen. He stood before the most powerful man in the world. Pharaoh said, "I hear you can interpret dreams." Joseph answered humbly, "I cannot, but God can give Pharaoh the answer he seeks." Pharaoh explained his dreams. Joseph replied, "Both dreams are one message. 7 years of great abundance are coming, followed by 7 years of severe famine." Pharaoh leaned forward. "So, what should we do?" Joseph continued, "Appoint a wise man. Store grain during the abundant years. Prepare for the famine." Pharaoh and all his officials were astonished. "Can we find anyone like this man, one in whom is the Spirit of God?" Pharaoh turned to Joseph. "You shall be in charge of my palace. Only I will be greater than you." The prisoner became a ruler. Joseph was given the royal signet ring, fine robes, a gold chain, and a new name, Zaphanath-Paneah. He rode through Egypt in a royal chariot. Crowds bowed. The same dream from his childhood was beginning to unfold.
For 7 years, Joseph stored grain across the land. He built storehouses, organized workers, and managed resources with wisdom. Then came the famine. It spread across Egypt and beyond, even reaching Joseph's family in Canaan. People cried out to Pharaoh for food. Pharaoh said only one thing: "Go to Joseph." The boy who once begged for help from a pit now held the keys to life. In Canaan, Jacob heard there was grain in Egypt. He sent 10 of Joseph's brothers, except Benjamin, the youngest. They arrived and bowed before Joseph, not knowing the man in royal attire was the brother they sold years ago. Joseph recognized them instantly, but he didn't reveal himself. He remembered his dreams, he remembered the pit, but he also remembered his purpose. To test their hearts, Joseph accused them of being spies. They denied it, trembling. Joseph demanded they bring Benjamin to prove their honesty. He kept Simeon as a prisoner until they returned. The brothers went home confused, terrified, and guilty. Jacob was heartbroken, but eventually agreed to send Benjamin. When the brothers returned, Joseph saw Benjamin, and his heart melted. He wept in secret. He prepared a feast for them. They were shocked. Why would the ruler of Egypt treat them with such honor? Because grace was already working in Joseph's heart. But one more test remained. Joseph secretly placed his silver cup into Benjamin's bag. After they left the city, his men chased them. They searched the bags. The cup was found. The brothers tore their clothes in despair. They returned to Joseph. Judah, who once suggested selling Joseph, stepped forward. "Let Benjamin go home. Take me instead. My father will die if he loses this son." For the first time, Joseph saw true change. The brothers who once betrayed him were now willing to sacrifice themselves, and Joseph could hold it in no longer. Joseph sent everyone out. He stood alone with his brothers. Tears streamed down his face. He cried so loudly the entire palace heard. "I am Joseph. Is my father still alive?" The brothers froze. Shock, fear, guilt. But Joseph stepped closer. "Do not be afraid. You meant evil against me, but God meant it for good." He embraced them one by one. He forgave them. He healed them. He restored them. The family that was broken was whole again. Joseph arranged for Jacob, his father, and the entire family to move to Egypt. When Jacob and Joseph finally reunited, Jacob wept in his son's arms, saying, "Now I can die in peace." A dream given to a 17-year-old boy had come to life in a way no one expected. Joseph's story teaches us that betrayal cannot stop God's plan. Delay is not denial. What others meant for harm, God can turn into purpose, and forgiveness is stronger than revenge. Joseph rose from a pit to a palace because God was with him every step of the way. If this story inspired you today, don't forget to subscribe, like this video, and share it with someone who needs hope. Thank you for watching, and may God turn every trial in your life into a testimony.